How'd you feel about that Lin-Manuel project, man?
I actually haven't seen it. Okay, to be honest with you.
Yeah, man, where the Dominicans at?
Yeah, I think that the colorism thing. I think I saw some headlines about that shit. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about it, bro. I mean, it's like it's there's so many. Yeah, it just says a lot, to be honest.
I was talking about In the Heights.
Yeah.
But is the fault on Lin-Manuel or is the fault on the casting director and the director himself?
Well, honestly, it's probably the casting director, honestly, because depending on how big the basically creator or the artist is whose name is like attached to it, he could be just the face of it. So he might not be necessarily an executive. He might be listed as an executive producer. This is how like films and TV shows come about. But that's so big. Yeah,
anyone can be.
Exactly.
You can put $1 in and you could be executive producer.
Just because you donated to like a movie, like Brad Pitt usually does. Oh, he's an executive producer of 12 Years a Slave. He got an Oscar for that. He had nothing to do with the movie. He just donated to it. He got an Oscar.
It's hard to know
he acted.
Oh yeah, he did some acting too.
He was like he was a good white man, right?
Yeah, he's one of the good ones. He's one of the good ones.
Good white man.
Oh yeah, he was like that carpenter or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I'm here to soften the image. I'm like probably racist, but I'm not gonna beat you. Like
right. I'm racist, but not like
but not that racist. Not like
one of the good ones.
I know something's wrong.
Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't see In the Heights. I heard mixed sort of reviews. I heard it was overall a good movie, but I don't know. I don't watch movies like that generally.
What if the Dominicans just didn't dance as good as the Puerto Ricans, so they decided to keep the Puerto Ricans?
Wait, what?
I don't think that's how it works. I'm pretty sure that's not how it works.
Oh God!
The director made I think it's outlandish, but a comment because there was like a reporter. I think she was like from The Root, and she was like, "Why are only like the dark-skinned individuals background dancers?" And
we know.
No, sorry. He was like, she was like, where's the representation of darker skinned people? And then he said, well, they're background dancers. They're still in representation. And it's just like,
oh boy,
is that?
They had a black character though. The guy on the taxi guy.
He wasn't even Latino. He was just a regular black guy.
So
here's a regular black guy. So he was.
That was his role.
So having not even seen the movie, I'm curious, what would make the people that are complaining about it, what scenario would have been satisfactory? Like I'm just curious because I
can answer that.
But I know the general like sort of like complaint. So is the complaint like there wasn't someone in a prominent position that wasn't darker skinned, or like was it who was casted? Like what's really sort of like the just so I can understand it, because I haven't seen the movie.
So are you asking like what could be the remedy to this, or what were people asking for?
Well, both, I guess. I guess it's like a multifaceted question. Like what were people, I guess, expecting and asking for, and then what would be, I guess, more ideal compared to like what was what was more ideal compared to the final product?
I mean, I personally can't speak to that community because I'm not part of it, but from my understanding, it's just more representation, because understanding individuals who live in that area, it's not just light-skinned Latinx people. You have multiple complexions, people who have roots from Africa and all those different things. So you want that to be represented within a film if you're actually representing that area. So that's what people were asking for, instead of essentially like a whitewashing. But what was interesting is one of the lead actors identifies herself as African. So,
well, I mean,
I got. No, my fault. Go ahead. I got a question, but you go ahead. We'll go. I can ask after.
What's interesting about this conversation is that, especially with stuff that's like embedded in like minorities or multi-ethnic scenarios and whatnot, there's always going to be a percentage, especially with the digital age that we live in, that are going to be mad about something. They're going to be mad about something just for the sake of being mad about. So it's funny when you mentioned your question, like what is going to appease the masses? There is no appeasing, because like most of the people that, I guarantee you a percentage or a sector of the people that were even complaining, they watched the movie, but they were going to talk shit and complain about something regardless. Whether like how big or how small it was, they'd have been like, well, we didn't like the song choice, or the food, the way the food was made, or the way they were dancing, or the way they were dressed. They'd have found something to complain about, because they do it with music, they do it with movies, they do it with TV shows, they do it with anything that's entertainment based. And they even do it with sports, obviously. Shocker, because again, everybody has a voice, everybody has an opinion, everybody can tweet, everybody's a journalist. So, but especially something that's as polarizing as race and ethnicity, of course they're going to find something to complain about. It's a polarizing hot topic, and so to really answer your question, if you want the real answer, there's nothing that could be done that was going to appease them.
Oh yeah, I mean.
So wait, I got a question here.
Okay.
So I want to I'm going to say a few things, and it's like not necessarily that I agree with it, but just things that I kind of like want to point out. Because like I was watching something a little while ago where they were talking about just Hamilton, right, and the fact that Hamilton and like In the Heights, right, they're Broadway shows, right, and there's certain issues about race that they kind of glance over in those things. And why is that? Well, because the type of people that are going to go to Broadway shows are white people, right? So it's like you're making the show for this specific type of audience, even if you want it for someone, for somebody else, you'd like to express yourself for some, for something else, right? The capitalist side of it, or just the reality is specifically like the Broadway shows, right, is that they're not made for us. They're made for old white people to go watch, right, and to enjoy it. So Disney's a little bit different, right, because Disney, right, it's a family company, whatever. But at the end of the day, who's the target audience, right, and what do they want to see? Do they want to see more light-skinned people, or do they want to see black people? That I'm just wondering, because I don't think that it's like you can't cast a show like that, in my opinion, and not think about like the color of people's skin on that shit, specifically like the different tone. I don't believe that didn't come up before then. Like that to me is silly. So like, they probably weighed out the pros and cons of like whatever and just said fuck it. But I don't know. But I'm just thinking like, we're not the first people to bring this shit up, for damn sure. But it's just like at the end of the day, and it sucks, some people just wanna, they're trying to sell a movie to a specific audience. So like maybe that's why everyone turned out super light skinned.
That's very interesting, because about Hamilton, I guess on the other side of the spectrum, like I was reading things, and this is sort of like a fringe sort of complaint, but I was reading the fact that there were people of color in Hamilton. There was like this whole sort of side of the internet that was just going crazy of this sort of like blackwashing of history. Like Hamilton wasn't, you know what I mean? It was like this weirdo sort of like, like completely missing the fucking point. But I mean, piggybacking off what you said about being marketable and things like that is very interesting. I was reading an article, and we kind of know this, but we don't think about it in these terms necessarily. Is that every sort of Broadway show or movie or television show is almost like a venture capital project, where it's like you're going to different investors, whether it be a company, whether it be individuals, and you're all pulling this money together for something that may or may not make money at all. Because most movies really don't break even. The ones that do hit it big, so it's like like what Jose said, they've taken all of these factors. They're like, okay, who do we want casting? Do we need big names? Do you want up and coming stars? What color we want them to be? Do we want to target a certain audience? Do we want to target sort of a broad audience? It's very sort of like there's an artistic element of actually creating a piece of art and creating a movie, but then there's the capitalistic sort of element where it's just like, how do we make as much money as possible? How do we sort of please our investors, sort of like a company would?
Oh, yeah. Business.
So
capitalism is America.
One more comment. I kind of want to increase the scope of the audience, right? Because like we're pretty much like is Disney marketing this to the world, right? Because the world has a problem with different, right, with dark skin and period, like a bunch of different cultures. So
Disney
it's like,
didn't do In the Heights, DK.
I tried and they said no.
No, Disney didn't do In the Heights.
What did they do?
Disney did Hamilton. In the
What
Heights,
up?
HBO.
Oh, In the Heights wasn't Hamilton. I mean, In the Heights wasn't Disney.
Nah.
No, so technically it's Time Warner since it was HBO Max. So it's
same
Time
thing.
Warner.
He actually flipped his pen. That's funny.
Just saying.
Same thing applies.
Mm-hmm.
Insert company with too much money.
Yeah.
It's all about massaging the political connects.